Hello and welcome to this session on trusteeship and the PCC. This session is introductory and basic in its nature. It's also generic in its scope, so if you have any specific questions about your own parish, you may prefer to contact us separately. My name is Andy Wright and I'm one of the Generous Living Advisors for the Diocese of Lincoln. Today's session will cover the following topics. First of all, we'll be looking at a timeline which describes the history of PCCs and their charitable status. We're looking at the nature of PCC as a charity, its trustees and their responsibilities. We'll be touching on the issue of the registration of PCCs, but not in great detail. We'll also be looking at some of the advantages and disadvantages of a PCC being a charity, and I'll be describing to you where you can get support on any of the issues that we cover today. First of all, let's quickly look at a history of the PCC and registration. The Charity Commission was formed as long ago as 1853. We tend to think of charities as being a modern invention or phenomenon. In fact, they were first formed in mid-Victorian times. In 1956, the parochial church council's measure established PCCs and recognised them as charities. In 2006, the Charities Act required all PCCs to register with the Charity Commission. However, initially that only was applied to those whose income exceeded £100,000 in any 1 year, and all other charities were not yet required to register. However, by 2031, all PCCs must now be registered, even if their income does not exceed £100,000. There are three basic types of charity in terms of the registration of PCCs. First of all those whose income does not exceed £5,000 a year can remain unregistered, although they are still charities. Those whose income exceeds £5,000 but does not yet exceed £100,000 are currently accepted charities, and that applies to the overwhelming majority of our PCCs in the Church of England. And then, of course, there are those whose income has exceeded £100,000 in a year and who have had to register with the Charity Commission. In the past, any PCC whose income temporarily exceeded £100,000 because of, for example, a one-off grant towards a building project or an unusually large legacy any 1 year, could apply for written dispensation to remain unregistered. However, that no longer is possible. As of now, all PCCs whose income exceeds £100,000 must register. Please do not rush to register if you don't yet need to. More guidance will follow on that process in due course. In summary, all PCCs are recognised charities, no matter what their status. Registration is not becoming a charity. PCCs are already charities. Therefore, it follows that all PCC members are trustees of that charity. So again, PCC members do not become trustees when their PCC registers. They are already trustees of a charity. It is the PCC that is the charity, not the church, not the parish, not the benefice. The actual PCC body itself is the charity. There are some pros and cons to a PCC's status as a charity. Here are some examples, although this is not an exhaustive list by any means. First of all, charities do not generally have to pay income or corporation tax. They can benefit by claiming gift aid or the gift aid small donation scheme. They can claim back income tax already paid on any gifts they've been given by a taxpayer. In some circumstances, such as on building projects, the PCC can claim back portions of the VAT. The PCC also receives certain assurances and protections from the Charity Commission. And registration with the Charity Commission and your charitable status offers you some recognition from the public and a certain amount of trust that comes with being described as a registered charity. Certain grant giving bodies will favour or restrict grants to registered charities. Many churches have discovered that if they are able to offer a charity registration number, it makes their application more favourable, and some grant giving bodies will insist on that. Many accepted charities have historically struggled to demonstrate that they are a charity because they are not registered. If you are in that situation at the moment, you can get around that by downloading a status certificate from a church near you page. If you want help in doing that, please do contact us here at Edward King House. On the other hand, there are other certain restrictions that come with registration of the PCC as a charity. First of all, the PCC must have exclusively charitable purposes. All its activities must be geared towards meeting its charitable purposes. These are not so much cons, I suppose, as just assurances and protections to trustees and also to the public. There are certain financial reporting regulations which PCCs have to adhere to. For example, at the moment, PCCs are required to submit their annual financial report to the diocese. Registered charities, registered PCCs will also have to provide that information to the Charity Commission on an annual basis. There are certain trading restrictions on charities as well, largely to do with restricting your trading activity to activities which help you to meet your charitable purposes. There are also rules about the employment of someone who is also a trustee of your charity, who is also a PCC member. That is partly to assure the public that there are no conflicts of interest. So what is a trustee? Well, generally speaking, the clue is in the title. Elsewhere, in other charities, you may have heard them described as board members or members of the board. Trusteeship is a great way of contributing to causes that you care about and helping to develop the strategic and leadership skills for yourself at the same time. Trustees themselves are the volunteers who lead the charities and help to decide how the charity is run and what it does. Anyone who is at least 16 years old can be a PCC member. However, we also have to consider who is a fit and proper person when it comes to trustee membership. For example, someone who is currently under a bankruptcy order cannot be a trustee, cannot therefore be a PCC member. People who have unspent convictions for a range of other offences, such as financial, sexual, or terrorist offences, can also not be PCC members, cannot be trustees. Also, anyone who has otherwise been disqualified or removed from office by the Charity Commission cannot be a PCC member. Here are links to two key pieces of advice for you, which you may wish to read. You can do this by scanning the QR code to the right of each of these documents. Firstly, at the top, there is some advice from the Church of England, a guidance document called An Introduction for PCC Members. And at the bottom of that page, there is a document this time produced by the Charity Commission on guidance on managing faith charities as trustees, which applies to a range of other faith-based charities, but includes and covers PCCs. And again, you can access that by scanning the QR code. If you're not able to do that, do please contact us at Edward King House, and we will help you to find those documents.
PCC members are effectively the trustees of the charity, and this short video provides you with a briefing on how to be effective in this role, and gives you some pointers as to where you can find out more. Some of you may be slightly daunted about the role of charity trustee, but you shouldn't worry. Whilst the role is a responsible one, providing you and your fellow PCC members act in the best interests of the charity and don't consciously break the law or act imprudently, you should have little to worry about. In fact, as churches, we should welcome being trustees, for the term carries with it much of the connotation of stewards. As a group, the PCC is called to exercise wise stewardship over that which has been entrusted to them by both God and fellow church members. We've produced a short guide to the responsibilities of trustees, and you can download it free from the Parish Resources website. Let's have a look at some of the key ones. First, you're trustees of the charity, which is the PCC. If your gross income is over £100,000, you'll need to register with the Charity Commission and make returns to them each year. You'll need to develop appropriate policies in relation to your charity. One's about reserves, safeguarding, managing risk and conflicts of interest. You're trustees of the PCC's money. Many PCCs are blessed with effective and efficient treasurers, but however good they are, it would be wrong to simply leave all the financial matters in their hands. The role of the treasurer is to administer the church's finances, to produce accounts, and to make financial reports to the PCC. However, the PCC must approve the accounts, should also approve an annual budget, and will need to make policy decisions relating to the level of reserves you're holding and why, and will need to approve significant items of expenditure not already approved within the budget. Different churches will have different levels of delegation and approval, partially depending on the size of your church. Third, you're trustees of the building and will need to take care of it wisely, making good decisions about insurance, maintenance, and health and safety, as well as how to use your building effectively in your mission and ministry. Again, much of this work may be delegated to individuals or to a subcommittee. Finally, you're also trustees or stewards of God's mission. His choice to bring his kingdom closer on earth is to work through his church, to invite us to participate in his mission to the world. Legally, the primary charitable object of the PCC is, in cooperation with the incumbent, the promotion in the parish of the whole mission of the church. Although the role carries responsibility, as Christians we know that God generously blesses us with the gifts and wisdom to perform the tasks he calls us to. And so the PCC will want to spend time together in prayer, combining thanksgiving, worship and intercession. Do take some time to read through our guidance note, which also provides some links to the Charity Commission site for those who wish to go deeper. Finally, let me say thank you for giving your time to serve on your local PCC. Without the service of trustees in every community up and down the country, the church would not be able to function effectively at a local level. Much of the work is unseen and can feel unappreciated, but it makes a real difference. Thank you.
Charities also have a range of governing documents, and you may often hear charities describe their governing documents. PCCs have two main ones. First of all, there's the PCC Powers Measure of 1956. Again, this is effectively an Act of Parliament, and it describes the principal function or purpose of the PCC as promoting in the parish the whole mission of the church. And secondly, there's the Church Representation Rules, which were described under a synodical government measure in 1969, which was revised in 2022. These two documents describe both the what and the how of the governance of PCCs within the Church of England, and they also help to determine the essential measure of whether a body is or isn't a charity, which is called public benefit. It is through these two documents that PCCs can assure the public that they have public benefit. What are the responsibilities of a PCC as a trust board? Well, essentially, they're the same as any other charity because, as we've already established, the PCC is a charity. So whatever any registered charity has to do, so does the PCC. It has certain responsibilities to the Charity Commission, such as the submission of an annual report and an annual financial return, as I've already mentioned. And under certain circumstances, you are required to show your registered status, such as on your website or on certain pieces of stationery. You are also required to report any serious incidents. And a serious incident in these terms is described as any incident that the PCC considers presents a significant risk to the PCC, the Church, its beneficiaries, its reputation, or its assets. The PCC has corporate responsibility. A PCC is a charitable body with corporate status established by law. It benefits from similar limitations of liability as other charitable bodies, such as CIOs. PCC members, therefore, as trustees, are not personally liable if acting on behalf of the PCC and within its agreed actions, policies, and governing documents. There's a wealth of information on this topic available on the Parish Resources website, parishresources.org.uk. Once you get to that website, if you look at that link there on the top menu and click on that, you will find a wealth of advice documents, links, and other information there which apply to your role as a PCC member, as a trustee, and to the management and governance of PCCs as charities. And again, you can access that, if you prefer, by scanning that QR code. Other support is available from the diocese, firstly by contacting the Generous Living team. Myself and my colleague Hugo Cobham are the Generous Living advisors. We can be reached there by emailing generosity@lincoln.anglican.org. My colleagues in the finance team, we're delighted to hear from you if you have any queries or concerns of a financial nature. My colleague Helen Doyle, who is the Assistant Diocesan Secretary, leads on governance and trusteeship of PCCs, and there's her email address. For any purely legal queries, please contact our Diocesan Registrar, Ian Blaney. And for any other general support, or if you're not sure who you need to talk to, just contact the Parish Support Office here at Edward King House on 01522 50 40 50.